There are many operators in Rainbow Six Siege, with most of them being pretty good in the right hands. But some of these operators, I think, are kind of overrated, especially with how many nerfs they have received. So in today's video, I'll be going over the 10 most overrated ops in Year 10. Starting strong and controversial with the first operator on this list, let's talk about Mira. I think Mira isn't that overrated. She's still a powerful operator, but unless you're 5 stacked, trying to play her in a solo queue environment, especially in ranked, is kind of useless. She does have power positions on certain maps that make her good, but a lot of the times, if anyone's going to bring an Ashe who is brought like 90% of the time, your Miras are going to get countered. So unless you have a Wamai or a Jaeger to help you out, you end up not getting a lot of use. In higher elo, too, people are playing shields all the time, so they can just fully extend, walk at your Miras, melee them, and you get 0 value. It's cool that she has a Vector as well as a secondary shotgun and a Nitro cell, but beyond that, she doesn't have much going for her because of just the pure amount of nerfs that have happened to her gadget. Again, still a good operator, but definitely not like S tier like she used to be. You might have seen that one coming, and that's fair. But I know this next operator that I'm going to call overrated is going to make a lot of people mad, especially my solo queue players, and that operator is Zero. Now yes, Zero has a great loadout. You have an MP7 with an ACOG or the best assault rifle in the game, the SC3000K. He also has a Gon 6 to get secondary utility and hard reaching charges he can use in tandem with his Zero cameras to get walls open by himself. However, I think his gadget is the most overrated part of his ability. It is cool now that you have 6 cameras, but when you're solo queuing in ranked, you cannot trust any of your teammates to be watching those cameras. And if you're alive, chances are you're not watching your own flank cameras either. Which means a lot of the times, even though you have a lot of cameras being put down, none of them are really being put to use. You could say, well, I can solo get open a wall with 0 cameras, but in higher elo, especially in PC, those cameras get shot immediately and provide no value to you or your team, when in reality, you could have brought Striker, gotten the wall open reliably by yourself, and still brought an M4 with a secondary shotgun. On console, I think Zero was a lot better, to be fair, because trying to find 0 cameras and trying to shoot them with a controller before they actually get their taser off on your bandit charges is pretty hard, but on PC, especially in higher elo, nobody plays Zero. Just because you have a lot of utility doesn't make it really impactful. Again, still a good operator, but definitely not like the best solo queue operator like a lot of console people claim. Now, you can agree to disagree with me on that one. And you know what? I'll give you that. But there's one operator that I'm absolutely not going to budge on when I say this operator is highly overrated. And that is Jaeger. Now, the only reason that a lot of people, especially people who have been playing the game for a while, like Jaeger is purely because of the nostalgia. If you didn't know, Jaeger's 416C carbine assault rifle used to be amazing. It used to have more damage, more ammo, more max capacity, less recoil, and it used to have an ACOG. It was pretty much like having Zero's gun on defense with an ACOG on a defender. His ability used to be the best ability in the entire game as well, because each ADS could catch 3 projectiles, meaning you could put all 3 ADSs in front of a shield, and the only way any attackers could clear that shield was with 9 flash grenades and 2 grenades. So Jaeger used to be broken back then, but after a series of nerfs and frag grenades losing value after you're not able to cook them anymore, I just don't think Jaeger is as valuable. Even with all of the nerfs, it's not even the nerfs that I think made him bad. It's the fact that right now, he's just really not that needed. For one, you have less flash grenades in the game because every operator only brings 2 instead of 3. Frag grenades you can't really cook anymore, so you don't have to protect as many pieces of utility. There are just more meta defensive operators like Zami, Fenrir, Tubarao if you're getting walls or etc. You get the idea. There's just better operators and you don't need an ADS as much as you used to. So Jaeger, I think, is highly overrated unless you're really bringing him to like protect a mirror or something. I think another operator that most of us are going to agree on when I say they're overrated is Ayana. Ayana used to have her heyday, don't get me wrong. Back in the 1.5 times scope meta, Ayana used to be great. But when they took away her flash grenades and gave her EMPs, they made her into a more flex operator than they did frag operator. But if your whole ability is droning yourself in and trying to take space, that doesn't really fit with a flex playstyle. Given the fact that other operators also have information and have EMP grenades like Dokkaebi, back in the day Lion as well, Ayana just doesn't really have a place now because there are better operators with better gadgets that also do what she does with EMP grenades, essentially taking away anything that she could do uniquely out of her kit. I will say the buff to the G36C does make her more appealing if you want to be a fragger, but without flashes, she just doesn't get played at all. And I think if most people are playing her, it's really just because they're used to the nostalgia of it. Not only do I think Ayana's overrated though, but I think the defender that came out in the same season she did is also overrated. And that, of course, is Oryx. Now, I run Oryx because I have a cool ass skin for him, but you get the idea. Most players shouldn't be running this operator. I think the reason that I say this operator is overrated, even though you might think he's a bad operator, is because most people rate this operator higher than they should, simply because he can counter shields. But with the recent shield nerf making it to where you can just melee shields when you're up close to them, it doesn't make sense to waste an entire operator so that you can re-dash them when you have melee priority over the operator. If you're really using Oryx to counter shield as well, there's a lot better counters, like using suppression with weapons, using impact grenades, using legion, using smoke, etc. You get the idea. There's just better counters that bring more utility with a better loadout and are way more useful, which makes Oryx kind of lose his place in where the meta is. I think most people make the mistake of only playing Oryx to counter shields, when in reality, again, there are just way better options. Somebody else who has their job done by like 30 other people, and there are just way more better options than this person, is Fuse. Now, I know my console players are screaming at their monitors right now, saying that Fuse is one of the best operators in the game. He's not. On PC, in my experience, what happens is when a Fuse player puts a cluster charge on the ceiling, the PC player looks up and shoots it before it's even able to get 2 cluster charges off. I will say he does have the AK and the ability to bring hard-reaching charges, which is pretty cool. I will not lie. But if you want somebody with a good gun and hard-reaching charges, just bring Striker. And solo get the hatches or flashes to get kills as well, and you have a secondary shotgun. He also could bring nades if you still want to get the utility that you were going to get with Fuse, or you can just bring Flores, who is better in most scenarios if they don't just have a mute player. Maybe some console players just know something I don't, but there's a reason that Fuse is never played in the higher elo or in Pro League, and it's because he's way too situational, and his utility is very easily counterable if you just shoot the cluster charge. Now, this next defending operator is overrated not only on console, but also on PC as well. It's an operator that's not really overrated because people have this like misconception about them, but it's an operator that's just plainly overrated because they're picked so much when they really shouldn't be. And that operator is Rook. Now, I will not deny, Rook has had one of the highest win rates out of any operator in the high ranks for consistently a few years now, but I don't think that makes him one of the best defenders in the game. I think you're more safe going with somebody like Legion, Melusi, Azami, Fenrir, or Wall Denial to be able to actually help your team. I do think Rook is a good operator, but I don't think he's in like my S tier or my top 10, even my top 20, and a lot of people like to put him there. He does have the MP5 with an ACOG, the ability to self-revive all your teammates, extra health, and impacts to be able to make rotations, but Doc is able to bring all of that, and instead of having impacts for rotations, he has a bailiff which can act as a shotgun as well, and he has information with barbed wire. So I feel like if you're ever going to play Rook, the reason that I feel like he's overrated is because you could just play Doc instead and get a much better operator that has more versatility, in my opinion. Not that Rook is a bad operator, again, there are just better operators to play. Somebody else who gets their job done by multiple operators and is a lot weaker than they ever were is the next attacker on this list, which is Osa. Now, Osa, when she came out, was pretty good, and for solo queue players, she has been good for a while. However, if you have one person that has impact grenades that didn't use it in the prep phase, Osa gets completely countered. Most people these days are playing Azami, and Azami has impacts, so if you're going against an Azami, chances are as Osa, your shields are going to get no value. And with shields, even after the rework still being meta, like Blackbeard, who can bring frag grenades and shoot an AK behind his shield, Monty, who can bring EMP grenades and full extend his shield, and Blitz, who can bring smokes and can blind people, it just doesn't really ever make sense to play Osa, literally ever. She has one of the lowest win rates for Pro League, for a reason, because people, when they see an Osa, will just save their impacts for her, and if you're a smart ranked player, you can do the exact same thing. In the low ranks, I definitely think she can dominate, but in higher ranks, when people save their impacts for actual shields, I think she struggles a lot. Somebody else who struggles the higher in the ranks you go is the next operator for defense that I cannot understand for the life of me why people love so much, and that is Kapkan. I don't know why Kapkan is the #1 most banned defender on console. It cannot be that hard to look at a doorway and shoot a Kapkan off of a door. And if it's really messing you up that bad, just bring IQ. Why are you wasting a ban on Kapkan? You have a zombie in the game, Fenrir in the game. Hell, even banning Mute would be better than banning Kapkan. Just look at a doorway. Do y'all not drone? I don't get it. Like, trying to get a single Kapkan kill in high elo, unless they're like rushing you with no drones, is literally impossible. I don't get this huge hype around Kapkan, especially from console players who this is their #1 most banned defender for like the past 3 seasons. It really cannot be that hard to look down at a doorway and shoot 2 Kapkan traps. It really can't be. I don't know how y'all are getting killed to this in the Big 25. It's actually insane to me. I don't even think I need to say anymore. So overrated, it actually pisses me off. Then the final operator, I think, is still a really good operator, but unfortunately just gets outshined by other people right now, and that is Jackal. Again, I think Jackal is a good operator, don't get me wrong, but the unfortunate truth is that Deimos does what Jackal does, but way better, and he brings better utility. Deimos' pistol absolutely slams. I will say I do think overall Jackal has better primaries, but with Deimos you get literal wall hacks onto somebody. You get a continuous ping, and if you have a team with you that's coordinated, Deimos becomes even increasingly more valuable because he can give callouts to those teammates. Whereas Jackal, you get a ping every few seconds, you have to rely on fresh feet being around for you to scan it, and it's not a continuous ping that you can wallbang with. With Dokkaebi being in the game too, Jackal just gets outshined, so I just think as of right now, people love to ban Jackal, people still play him all the time, and I just feel like he's a little overrated because there's just better operators in the game. With that out of the way, that's it for today's video. My name's Alka, check out this next video, and I hope we'll see you there.